Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I am Harrison Graham. Today's show, Matt Nagy replacements. Now, Nagy has not been fired yet. Things could certainly change, but it is certainly trending in that direction. After 6 straight losses, the Bears have gone from 5-1 to Pace and Nagy are getting an extension to now they're 5-7, and Nagy is firmly on the hot seat, as is Ryan Pace. We'll probably do a Pace replacements video in the near future, for sure will, if he actually does get fired. Nagy did say earlier today on Monday that he feels like he still has ownership support, but what is he going to say at this point? He's just fighting for his coaching life in Chicago. Now, things started off tremendously back in 2018, even with the first-round loss to the Eagles off the Cody Parkey double doink. It seemed like that was a moment in time that just changed the direction of this franchise when that field goal didn't go in, but still 12-4. You got a young quarterback who did some promising things that year. Regression last year from Trubisky and the team as a whole. The team has missed Vic Fangio certainly as the defensive coordinator, and then this year has gone how it's gone. 5-1 start and all the way back to 5-7, 25-19 overall. Certainly hasn't been horrible, but when you lose 6 in a row and lose the way you did against Detroit, it might be time to go in a new direction. Now, before we get into my top 10 candidates to replace Nagy if he is indeed fired, like this video. If you want Matt Nagy gone, if you want him out of here, just hit that thumbs up icon. If we don't get at least 1,000 likes on today's show, I have failed as a host because everything I read in the comments, everything you guys talk about, you guys want Nagy gone. So like the video if you want the Bears to fire Matt Nagy. All right, so let's get into my top 10 candidates to replace Nagy as the head coach in Chicago. That's the latest on Nagy. Now some names to keep in mind as we get closer and closer to the end of the season. Number 10, I just mentioned him, Vic Fangio, the former DC in Chicago from 2015 to 2018. Of course, the Broncos hired him last year. It has not been great, but Fangio was great as the defensive coordinator in Chicago. Definitely better than Chuck Pagano, and I know you guys are tired of Pagano at this point and miss Fangio. Now, I think the only way this happens is if the Broncos fire Fangio. And do you want a guy that got fired after 2 seasons with another franchise as their head coach? Maybe he's not a head coach. Maybe he's just a defensive coordinator. Now, if they let him go and you hire a new head coach and you want to bring him in as your DC, that's fine. I've got him in here at number 10, but he's not super high on my list to be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. Now, who do you want as the next Bears head coach? Go ahead and let me know down in the comment section. We'll make this the pinned comment on today's video, so go ahead and reply right there. Who do you guys want to replace Matt Nagy if he is indeed fired? Now, real quick before we get to number 9, these are 3 guys that just simply are not going to happen. Lovie Smith ain't coming back. I know you guys, the Super Bowl, the glory days, it's not going to happen. He hasn't done that well at Illinois. He hasn't done well since he left Chicago, quite frankly. I just don't think that's a real possibility. Urban Meyer reportedly is out of the mix in for the Texas head coaching job. I don't think he's that interested in coaching. He just likes his name being brought up in the headlines. And then Bill Cowher, I see a couple of you guys, bring Bill Cowher in here. He hadn't coached in like 15 years. He's not interested. He's old. Not going to happen. So those 3 names, I would put it at less than 2%. Number 9 here, Brian Kelly, a guy who's not far down the road over at Notre Dame. He's done a great job there and not revitalizing that program because Notre Dame's always been a top-tier program, but I would say bringing them back to being a Tier 1 program. They probably fell into Tier 2 status before he got there. Got him to a national title game a few years back. Has him in the college football playoff mix this year. Big win over Clemson earlier this season. He's done a great job there. Local connection, the job would not overwhelm him. He has not been overwhelmed by since he's been at Notre Dame. Now, there is some chatter that he could make the jump to the NFL. Does he want to do that? He's got a pretty sweet gig for the Fighting Irish. Maybe, maybe not. I've got him at number 9. I'm not crazy interested. There's better college coaches, in my opinion, that I would go after that we'll get to shortly because I got a few of them on my list. But Brian Kelly's done a good job. He was great at Cincinnati, getting them to 34-6 in just their few years, making them one of the top group of 5 programs in college football. And he's done a good job at Notre Dame. He's had some down seasons as well, but 4 or 5 really good years, including this year for the Fighting Irish. Brian Kelly's a solid candidate. I've got him at number 9. a name that just keeps getting brought up, and while I lack major interest, I have to include him. That's Pat Fitzgerald. We talked about him last week. Obviously, the ultimate local connection, right? Over there in Evanston, just 40 miles down the road at Northwestern. He's done wonders for his alma mater. He has been fantastic at Northwestern, bringing a program that was dormant to fairly relevant. They're probably going to win the Big Ten West again this year, and there's some chatter that if he was ever going to leave his alma mater, the Chicago Bears, a NFL franchise just down the road, might be the one job he would consider. He's done great. Well above 500 in 15 seasons at Northwestern. That's unheard of at that program. 9 bowl appearances, 4 wins. Got to the Big Ten title game, 3 10-win seasons. Probably going back to the Big Ten title game again this year. Might win Coach of the Year in the conference again this year. He's done a great job at Northwestern. I don't know if he's a rah-rah guy. I don't know if I need a rah-rah guy. I need a good offensive-minded coach that can groom a quarterback. I don't know if that's Pat Fitzgerald, but I'm not going to rule it out, so I got him at number 8. Now, would you be comfortable hiring a college coach to be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I think in 2020 you have to be, because a lot of these college guys, not necessarily Fitzgerald, but they're the future. They're young, innovative minds, and these are guys you have to consider. So I'm typing my Y for yes. You can cast your votes down in the comments section. Number 7, another college coach who has certainly done well in the NFL. That's Jim Harbaugh. Things are trending down at Michigan. I'd say it's 50-50 whether or not he's back in Ann Arbor next season. It has not been a good year for him, and he can't get over that Ohio State hump. 0-6 against the Buckeyes since he's taken that job. Obviously, the connection. Drafted by the Bears in the first round, played there for 6 or 7 years, did some good things as a player. I know a lot of you fans are a fan of Jim Harbaugh. I think he's lost a little bit of that, that glow that he once had, but I know in NFL circles he is still considered a very good candidate. Maybe not what he once was, but still a solid candidate. Obviously turned Stanford around. Made them relevant, more than relevant, took them to, I believe, was it the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl? Can't remember what it was back in the day there. Did great with the 49ers, got to the Super Bowl, another NFC title game. And then he's been good at Michigan. He just hasn't been, play for national titles good at Michigan. He's been close a couple of times, but the past couple of years, things have slowly trended in the wrong direction. So it might be time for him to make a change, and the Bears' job might just be open, so maybe that could be a possibility for both parties. Now, today's show is presented by our sports betting partner, Bet Rivers. You can get going at chatsports.com/betil or chatsports.com/betin. They're going to give you a 100% deposit match. You can sign up and deposit from anywhere in the U.S., but to place a bet, you must be within state lines of either Indiana or Illinois. For you Indiana folks, go to chatsports.com/betin. Illinois folks, it's chatsports.com/betil. Go ahead and get going with Bet Rivers and make some money by gambling on NFL, college football, NBA games soon today. Let's get into our top 6 here. Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. He's gaining a lot of steam. I would honestly have him higher on my list. He's definitely the number 1 defensive mind I'm interested in. I just want an offensive head coach. That's why I've got him at 6. Now, if you hire Saleh and he brings in a good OC, that's fine with me. But I'm eyeing more offensive minds in general, but I do like him a lot. He's got a lot of energy. He's a high-character guy. Players respect the hell out of him. He's going to get an opportunity to be an NFL head coach. Maybe the Bears could be the right fit. I've got him at number 6. Get into our top 5. Matt Campbell, a guy who is just rising up boards both in the NFL and in college circles. What he's done at Iowa State has been very impressive. They're going to the Big 12 championship game this year. They're playing for a conference championship at Iowa State for the first time in 75 years. No exaggeration. He has woken up that program, has them top 10 in the country, winning record the last 3 or 4 years there. He's done a great job getting a lot of buzz both in NFL and college football circles. Very similar trajectory to that of Matt Rule, who went from Temple to Baylor to now the Carolina Panthers. That could happen with Matt Campbell. We'll see if he takes a major college job, but the NFL, they're going to come calling very, very soon. Now get subscribed to Chicago Bears Now. We got live shows every Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern. If you're watching this, if you're watching this today, it's on a Monday. Maybe you're watching it later down the road. But just know, every Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern, we go live with the latest Bears news and rumors and mailbag time. That means we answer your questions as well. Subscribe today, turn on notifications, and join us every Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern. Joe Brady is my number 4 guy here. He is obviously he was the passing game coordinator at LSU in 2019 when Joe Burrow and that offense just exploded for literally the best offensive season in college football history. And I think he's doing a good job with the Panthers as an OC. He's got Sean McVay written all over him. Very young, innovative offensive mind that people want. Look at what he did with Joe Burrow in 2019. This is the greatest individual season in the history of college football. Burrow's junior season, after that year, he was considered like a day 3 draft prospect. All of a sudden, Joe Brady gets in the fold, number 1 overall pick. That is very, very impressive, and I think he's done a good job with Teddy Bridgewater in his first full season as a starter in quite a while. Pretty good production. Accuracy is there. The quarterback rating is well above average at 96. He's gotten good production out of Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. That's a nice little offense in Carolina in their first year when they're supposed to be rebuilding. So Joe Brady is going to get a lot of buzz in the next several years. Maybe he's a little too young right now, but he's a guy I would at least call at this point. Another guy I'm calling, but I don't think it's super likely that he would take this job, is Lincoln Riley. Oklahoma head coach. I think he's the best offensive mind in college football. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. Doesn't matter who he has at running back. He just reloads and just continues to put up ridiculous offensive stats. He's got a redshirt quarterback this year in Spencer Rattler, and there were some growing pains early, but he's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the country now because that's what Lincoln Riley does. 2 Heisman winners in Baker Mayfield and in Kyler Murray, and Jalen Hurts would have won the Heisman in most years, but Joe Burrow had the greatest season of all time, like I just mentioned. Is he ready to leave his cushy gig at Oklahoma? That's the thing. He makes a shit ton of money, and they will never fire him. Do you want to take the Bears job if you're Lincoln Riley? Probably not, if I'm being realistic, because the guy wins 10, 11, 12 games a year and has them in the national title mix every year. He makes a ton of money, and he can do whatever he wants in Norman. Very comfortable gig. Now, I'm not saying he'll never make the jump. Teams are going to keep calling, and if you're the Bears, you should at least make him say no. That's why I've got him on my list, but don't think it's super likely, but he's a guy I would definitely call. Favorite college football team? Let me know what it is in the comments section. I know a lot of you guys are in the Chicago area. I've seen some Northwestern fans in the comments. I went to TCU in Fort Worth, Texas. Producer Dylan went to Oklahoma State. My school beat his school this weekend. It's been a rough Monday here in the office, but we've made amends here. We're all good there. I think Dylan owes me like a 30 pack of some kind of beer. We'll figure out that later. Favorite college team in the comments? Go ahead and let me know. Dylan's caught off guard. We'll keep this thing rolling. Number 2, Brian Daboll. I think this is a guy you could actually get. What he's done with Josh Allen in Buffalo, very impressive. Hot commodity, rising up in NFL circles. I think he will get a head coaching gig in 2021, and I think the Bears have a decent chance at getting him if they want to. You get him in here and you find him a young quarterback that he can groom, I think this would be a great fit. Look at Allen's progression since they drafted him in Buffalo, what Daboll's done with him. First year, he looked like a rookie. 53%. Yards per game was not there. He was basically one read and then taking off. Last year, you saw the improvement, just under 60% there. Yards per game went up. Touchdown-interception ratio much better. And then this year, he's like a Tier 2 MVP candidate. Now, he's not going to win MVP, but having a great season for Buffalo. Look at the completion percentage progression. That is the biggest sign of improvement from me. It's hard to improve accuracy. And Josh Allen's done it under Brian Daboll. This is a guy I'm very interested in if I'm the Chicago Bears. Daboll is one of the first guys I'm calling if I fire Matt Nagy. Now, what type of head coach do you want? Do you want an offensive guy or a defensive guy? Type O for offense, type D for defensive. I know a lot of you guys are saying, it didn't work with Nagy. Let's go defensive. In 2020, I'd say 75% of the time you should want an offensive head coach. Now, there's exceptions. If you can get the right OC in there, that's certainly worthwhile. But even if you get the right OC in there, if they're the right one, they're going to get a head coach job sooner or later. So I would rather go an offensive head coach, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And then number 1, the guy who really should be number 1 on every list, quite frankly, is Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs. And I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, we already tried the Andy Reid coaching tree with Matt Nagy. I don't think you can take that into account here. It's 2 separate situations. Eric Bieniemy has paid his dues. Andy Reid has publicly endorsed him as a head coach on several occasions. He's ready for this opportunity. Now, he might just say, screw it, I'm going to take the Texans job because they have Deshaun Watson, and I don't know the quarterback situation in Chicago, but I think he should be the first name you call, and you see where he's at with stuff. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid have both said he's played a major role, not only on this offense, but in Mahomes' development. And I don't think you can downplay that. Like, Mahomes was going to be good anywhere, but this is historic good. And I think the offensive coordinator deserves credit, and that is Eric Bieniemy. So, look, I think he is a guy that I would call first thing. I'd call him now, see where his mind is at in terms of wanting to be a head coach next season. He's earned that opportunity. Eric Bieniemy is my number one candidate. Who do you want as the Bears' next head coach? Let me know in the comments. I asked you guys this earlier in the video. I want to ask you one more time, who do you want as the next Bears head coach? Maybe I'm forgetting someone. Let me know down in the comments. And just to recap my top 10 real quick, Vic Fangio, the Broncos head coach, Brian Kelly at Notre Dame, Northwestern head coach Pat Fitzgerald, keep an eye on him. That name keeps popping up. Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh, Robert Saleh, 49ers DC at number 6. And then in my top 5 from 5 to 1, Matt Campbell at Iowa State, Joe Brady, the Panthers offensive coordinator, Lincoln Riley, the head coach at Oklahoma, Brian Daboll, the Bills OC, and then Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs OC. These are 10 names I like a lot. Again, if I'm forgetting somebody, let me know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.